My senior apprentice-sister and I grew up together, childhood sweethearts, deeply in love. While training in a perilous land, she thrust her sword through my right chest. If she did it to enhance her cultivation and revitalize the sect by devouring my flesh and blood, I would accept it. Yet, she merely leaned close to my ear and said, "This sword thrust is because you didn't trust me. Welcome to the magical world of ancient Chinese tales. This is the channel. Dragon's Path Tales." Now, let's begin today's story. In the second year after Master forced me into the 10,000 insect pit, I witnessed with my own eyes the 13th brother gouge out second brother's heart. 4th brother's trapped or 5th sister limb from limb. 10th junior brother's Tao heart shattered, his cultivation dissipated. And he buried himself alive in a deep canyon ravine. Out of the 17 fellow disciples in our sect, only 1 and 3-quarters remain now. I am that 3-quarters. Senior sister and I were pursued by the golden thread ghost mother, forcing us to set an ambush with an array. To lure it in, I had to sever my own leg and arm, one after another mimicking the blood key of a cultivator. It was already severely injured this time. I planned to end one decisive battle, but senior sister hesitated, refusing to chop off my remaining limbs. The wind deep in the cave stirred her blood-stained and torn cyan robe. Her flawless face showed a look of confusion, as if she had something to say. My heart skipped a beat. Was her reluctance because she thought of that ultimate method? A method I dared not speak of. Blood sacrifice. Kill me. Use the essence of a dying cultivator to replenish oneself, advancing one's cultivation further. That was a demonic art condemned by the immortal cultivation world. Surviving in the 10,000 insect pit, my fellow disciples had long mastered it. They started by eating demons, then moved on to humans. Human flesh was more coveted than demon flesh because humans can be deceived, let their guard down. But senior sister and I shared a deep love, protecting each other with our lives countless times. On the mountaintop of our immortal sect, the silk tree we planted together shed its blossoms beautifully, still awaiting our Tao companionship ceremony. Just then, senior sister spoke. "There's another way. Blood sacrifice." Her rambling stopped, as if she had made up her mind. Her spirit sword lowered with her gaze, its cold edge sharp, a killing or a slowly seeping out. My expression flickered uncertainly. The only thing I could move were my teeth, gnashing hatefully, filled with blood. I had dreamed of mutual dependence through hardships, living and dying together. It seemed I was too naive, after all. Taking advantage of after I sacrificed half my flesh and blood for our escape to make her move, how utterly venomous. But even facing a hopeless situation with 10 deaths and no chance of survival, I refused to await my fate. Her vermilion lips parted slightly, as if about to utter a spell. Boom! My mutilated body suddenly erupted into motion, recklessly crashing into the cave wall, collapsing it. Covered in flying rock dust, I fled. In this damned place, a cultivator's life is worthless grass for merely a few medicinal herbs. Anyone can fall into demonhood. Decades of brotherly affection, childhood companionship all abandoned me. Was it worth it? I don't know. Not yet, I don't know. Never had my will to survive burned so fiercely. My limbless torso charged too wildly, crashing hard into rocks within the array's perimeter, spraying out old blood. Senior sister didn't seem to be pursuing. I sighed slightly in relief, and my expression changed abruptly. How could I forget that damned beast? A golden sphere. Its back bearing 8 claws and 8 eyes, its mouth opening unclosing beneath its belly, crashed in like a meteor. Meeting the gaze of those 8 resentful eyes, I shuddered. I was faced with a dead end. Escape die from grievous wounds unreaded. Win the fight die when senior sister picks me off. Fail to escape, I turned into insect dung. Dead either way, a surge of fiery rage overcame me. R-A-R-I-S-C. I roared, spitting out another mouthful of my life's essence to empower the array. But the ghost mother also went berserk, charging forward hard against the array's killing power. The stench of decayed flesh residue filled my nostrils. Death descended mid-air. But it wasn't over. I opened my mouth and spat out my one trump card. A shard of multicolored porcelain. A curtain of radiant water light appeared out of thin air, isolating the venom and sharp teeth. Utterly unbreakable. But I was gravely wounded, my life essence severely depleted. In barely 2 breaths, the water curtain had mostly faded. Facing death, my heart was full of mockery. Master raised me for over 20 years in my youth. He brewed concoctions daily to cleanse my marrow. But if he only valued this body's spiritual roots, treating me like human medicine, wouldn't that mean he labored for others? I refused to accept it. I was clearly the most talented disciple Master had ever taken in. Was my whole life just a calculation? In the instant I closed my eyes, a cold light suddenly blazed fiercely in the distance. Senior Sister's spirit sword shot forth, piercing the ghost mother's body, grinding the spent force into fragments, its acrid demon blood drenching me. By the time I opened my eyes, the sword was already suspended above my head. It plunged down like lightning. When she pulled me out from the rubble pile, Senior Sister's expression was icy. The spirit sword had pierced my right chest. I had completely lost the strength to resist. This is the price for running away just now. Her face held restrained anger. Mine was deathly pale. She held the ghost mother's half-formed golden core in her hand. Demon power, meticulously channeled, was continuously transforming into my life essence and flesh. Senior Sister, was she, rebuilding my limbs? Before I could react, her spirit's sword shifted slightly within my chest, the agony making me grimace, wishing for death. This sword thrust is because you didn't trust me. Her voice softened, as warm and quiet as when we watched the sunset together, yet tinged with a desolate resentment. I was stunned. A thought struck me. A misunderstanding? Could she have intended to blood sacrifice herself for me? Bastard! My whole body trembled. Regret flooding my heart, I slapped myself hard. My newly grown fingers couldn't withstand the force, snapping off one by one. I, Nyan Yingtian, invoke my heart develop this life. I take Jin Rui as my Tao companion. To love her, protect her, and walk the heavenly Tao together. A life oath sigil manifested on my forehead. The heart develop a cultivator gets only one in their lifetime, sworn to protect their ultimate Tao truth. Violated. Body perishes, Tao dissipates. She seemed moved, pulling the sword from my chest. The formed her fingers into a sword stance, bringing them close to my face. Sword key swirled at her fingertips at this distance. It felt like she might sever my head in the next instant. Senior Sister. In my panic, the sword key burst forth. Yet I remained unharmed. Amidst the flying sand and stones, I felt warmth on my chest. For an instant, it was as if the mother of all things held me in her embrace. Under the dust, Senior Sister and I embraced silently. My heart felt like a torrential downpour one moment, utterly still the next. Her shoulders trembled, her emotion seemed intense, as if she had made some momentous decision, pressing her forehead against mine between my eyes. I felt warmth, an extreme joy, as if another life was opening itself entirely to me without reservation. Our divine souls intertwined, as if implanting a vow of shared life and death deep within each other's souls. But, just as I relaxed, a trace of Senior Sister's yin essence suddenly merged into my divine soul. A divine soul, taking root. A sign of enslavement. I panicked, but before I could struggle, I saw it hook onto my yang essence, pulling it back into her own divine soul. Divine souls, yin and dan conjoined, bound as Tao companions. Henceforth you are in me, I am in you. Senior Sister leaned against me, seeming utterly exhausted. Xiaonian, I don't care about the heavenly Tao. I just want to ask you, if I were to abandon the path those others insist on, withdraw from the immortal world's strife, and be divine immortals with the one I love, would you come with me? I was startled. You mean, give up the immortal ascension trials? Master would never agree. Besides, after this trial, so many fellow disciples died in vain. All this cultivation. For nothing? 2 years and 3 months ago, Duxian sect mountaintop, ancestral hall. 17 fellow disciples gathered as Master summoned us for instruction. But when fifth senior sister and I were the last to arrive, he blocked the doorway, revealing an eerie smile. Have you heard of the 10,000 insect celestial pit? The 10,000 insect celestial pit, a vast, borderless minor world teeming with insectoid demon beasts. Due to scarce resources, young trainees often called it a death zone. Since the immortal ascension trials approached, Master had grown cold and stern now. He radiated a trace of cruelty. What was coming had come. The next moment, a rift tore open in the void before the patriarch statue. My fellow disciples fled instinctively, only to collide with densely inscribed runes covering the hall. Upon closer look, it was a trapping array. Father, what is the meaning of this? Fifth senior sister stood bewildered in front of her fellow disciples. Master's greatest wish in life was to revitalize the sect. His second was for his daughter's peace and happiness. But now, his eyes were indifferent, utterly unlike his usual self. The 10,000 insect pit is boundless. Its danger varies wildly by region. Its connection to the immortal world is built within the core zones of tens of thousands of immortal sects. This ancestral hall is one such portal. In this zone, most demonic insects are only at foundation establishment. Today you descend into this 10,000 insects celestial pit to train for 2 years, until the trials, according to demon beast distribution laws. Most at foundation establishment meant there would be a tiny minority at full score stage. At our sect's disciples were young, most were at key refining stage. Less than half had successfully reached foundation establishment. Master, eldest senior brother stared at him intently. We will all die in there. Perhaps. Master's gaze remained indifferent as he took a step back, firmly blocking the exit. In the immortal ascension trials, Duxian sect has declined year after year. Our rating has fallen to great deal lower. One more defeat this season, and our sect registration will be revoked. His eyes swept over us one by one, like inspecting a batch of pills in progress. Better to die violently below than live on as eternal sinners of the sect. Though taught from childhood to revitalize the sect, hearing this still chilled my spine. I knew Master had obsessions, but never imagined they ran this deep, bordering on a heart devil. Today, you either descend and fight your way out amidst life and death, or try to break through this hall door. See if you can survive my single sword strike. Seeming impatient, he shot out a beam of chilling sword ki. Dozens of fellow disciples paled. Some turned and leapt into the rift. Others were blasted in while trying to defend. 15th junior sister and 16th junior brother tried to blockade, but under the crisscrossing sword ki, they instantly turned to dust. Breathing in the suddenly thick blood scent, I felt like falling into a dream. Standing wouldn't lie. Senior sister screamed and drew her sword. Master laughed heartily. His personal sword transformed into a streak of cold light, vanishing into senior sister's body. She seemed to hear something, momentarily stunned. This is our sect's only spirit treasure, the lingering shadow sword. Yinner, take it. Don't blame me for being cruel. What use are 100 or so of you alive? Better to forge one genius through killing, one who can fight to the pinnacle in the trials and restore glory. I saw no glory, only bloodshot eyes filling his gaze. He's gone mad. Senior sister recovered from her daze, her tones suddenly icy. With that, she leapt into the rift first. My feelings were a turbulent mix. Facing Master's familiar, cold, narrow eyes that had watched me grow up, I ultimately kowtowed 3 times. Sorry, Xianxia, it's all for the sect. He apologized again. Master probably offered more apologies today than in his entire life. His dry white hair danced in the wind, the tips stained with the flesh and blood of our junior brothers and sisters' children he had fed mouthful by mouthful. Terrifying, yet pitiful. I looked down at the blurred mountains on Dareth below the rift and jumped. Initially, survival wasn't as bad as imagined. The area spanned dozens of miles. The vast majority of demonic insects were only key refining stage. The few at Foundation establishment preferred solitude and were easily ambushed with arrays. We often went out in groups of 3 or 5, searching for resources. Apart from pills being tight, food and water sources were relatively stable. The collapse began with 17th Junior Brother's misfortune. His death was man-made. When we found him in the dense forest, he was half-smashed, though fatal wounds seen from a golden thread ghost insect's claws. Faint scorch marks indicated someone had injured him with Taoist arts and deliberately mangled the body to hide evidence. The heavenly unity immortal sect had decreed without trial. Deadly combat between cultivators was forbidden in the immortal world, but laws never bound those who made them. Before the time it took an incense stick to burn after bringing the corpse back to camp, the murderer came in person. 2 young masters, robes whiter than snow. One had a fiery lotus hovering above his head, seemingly a powerful secret treasure. He demanded we vacate the camp immediately and find another place. 7th Senior Brother, straightforward by nature, pointed at him and cursed his arrogance, only to have an arm instantly burned off. Healing elixirs were limited. Eldest Senior Brother had to swallow his pride to avoid conflict. Esteemed Taoist, we train in this perilous land. Healing, alchemy all depend on the spirit spring water in this camp. Giving it up means life minus or minus death hardship. This person, likely crossing domains from afar, possessing such power, had no need to depend on a spirit spring for survival. He smiled distaphonially, unleashing the aura pressure of a peak Foundation establishment cultivator. Aura pressure held no real threat to peers, but by etiquette. It was like throwing water on the table or slapping someone. Since you're out here training, life and death are your own responsibility. What concern is it of ours? My young master is weary from days of travel and just now took a fancy to the spirit eye for washing his feet and relieving fatigue. Of course I won't bully the weak. Once the young master finishes washing, you may return to draw the spring water for your pills. The insult ignited tensions instantly. Suddenly, a majestic voice descended from the sky, extinguishing the fiery lotus treasure directly. You overstep. A masked man landed like a phantom before the lotus man, who immediately bowed his head. We travel for leisure, not for you to abuse power and tarnish our heavenly unity reputation. If they refuse, find another place. Those eyes were like black holes, utterly emotionless, never addressing us directly. The lotus man cowered, shot us a venomous glare, and turned to leave. A crimson thread suddenly snaked up his body. Behind the camp, 13th Junior Sister stood, eyes bloodshot, her hands still forming the blood guiding art spell to track the murderer. It's him. He killed 17th. The masked man halted his departure. The atmosphere instantly froze. The lotus man whispered something in his ear. The masked man's eyes lit up. After muttering "be quick," the lotus man stepped forward again, sneering. A couple days ago, I acquired a fire Sir Ira's. Your junior brother, not knowing his place, insisted on contesting it. He ended up startling a patrolling golden thread ghost insect, ruining everything and costing me that treasure. We pity him for dying and didn't pursue his fault. You apologize for him. Hand over this treasure, and we'll let bygones be bygones. The fiery lotus hovered, releasing blazing radiance. Eldest Senior Brother wanted to smooth things over, signaling 13th Junior Sister with his eyes. But she was consumed by rage, her silver teeth clenched to the point of shattering. I exchanged a look with her. I reached into 17th Scorps and pulled out the blood-soaked fire Sir Ira's, tossing it high into the air. Their eyes gleamed with delight. One beckoned to claim it, only to be forced back by an explosive burst of flame. You tired of living? I glanced at the masked man. He remained silent, fixated on the rare fire Sir Ira's. I laughed. You probably don't know this, but our 17th junior brother lost his father young. He carried this treasure, forged from his father's cremated bones, warming it close to his heart day and night for 18 years. Kill a man, steal his treasure, yet preach benevolence and righteousness? Is this how disciples of upper-grade immortal sects cultivate the heavenly Tao? The fire-sar iris flew straight towards them. Seeing my feigned reluctance, the lotus man laughed heartily and grabbed it. Then his expression changed. The sar iris detonated. Billowing flames engulfed the hillside they stood on. Among the waves, shimmering lights of various colors flickered, likely their protective treasures activating. The lotus man, badly burned, lay half-dead on the ground, seeking death. The masked man roared in fury, his face shifting through expressions. But he didn't attack. He pulled out a pouch, threw it into the air. An acrid scent instantly filled the camp. Then, grabbing his companions, he fled like the wind. A massive aura pressure swept overhead, bypassing the camp, chasing after that group. So they were fleeing a great demon, no wonder they couldn't linger. But the acrid smell lingered, making us uneasy. It came. An adult golden thread ghost insect invaded the camp. This was the demonic insect that killed 17th junior brother. Though fiercely violent, they had strong territorial instincts. Without special reason, they never charged cultivator camps. That acrid smell, it was demon insect blood. Battle erupted instantly. The ghost insect was tough-skinned and explosively powerful, but the camp had pre-set arrays. We harassed it with manpower, occasionally ducking into the guard zones to avoid killing blows, planning to exhaust it to death. Everything proceeded smoothly, until a claw suddenly pierced the light barrier, drawing a spray of blood. 13th junior sister's body lay on the blurred array lines, her head impaled on a ghost insect's claw, lifted towards its maw. White brain matter burst out as it bit down. My veins bulged with rage. For some reason, the array suddenly weakened. The overloaded array swayed precariously. At our foundation establishment speed, we could only flee towards the array's edge. Crash! The collapsing array exploded. The energy from the spirit's tones powering it urged like a tidal wave, obliterating the camp. I watched helplessly as several key refining junior brothers were engulfed by the light wave, utterly annihilated. In the final moments, eldest senior brother cast a horrified glance my way. His final, silent words were, "There's a traitor." I woke up embedded in a desolate cliff face, hundreds of meters from the camp. At the camp's ruins, one man fought the severely weakened ghost insect alone. Brilliant light curtains draped around him, blocking all its death throes as he steadily cleaved it in two. Then, ignoring his own recovery, he walked straight to our grievously wounded fellow disciples. Once odd thrust per person, piercing their skulls, shredding their divine souls. Seeing the bursts of crimson, I closed my eyes, heart torn as if by knives. Move! Move! Spiritual power stirred faintly, flowing through my meridians. One small heavenly cycle, and I could reconnect the broken vertebrae, regain control of my body. But he was too cautious. After searching eldest senior brother's corpse, he came directly to me, cultivating for years. My first life-threatening injury came from a fellow disciple truly bitter. 14th junior brother. Why did you do this? I endured the pain, trying to stall, fighting like a beaten dog for every extra moment of life. Together, we had a much better chance of survival. Is that so? His honest face showed bleak despair. You, with higher cultivation, get priority on jade marrow elixir and bone-growth pills. Resources gathered outside, you get the lion's share. Fine. But this place is desolate. How long can we stay? Pills dwindle day by day. The wounded multiply day by day. Who cares about key refining disciples' injuries? I couldn't help interrupting after clearing the surrounding threats. You could rest and recuperate properly. Why this? He scoffed. Insufficient resources mean relocating the camp. Each move brings new slaughter. Within a few relocations, we'd die out entirely on the road. But the ghost insect's sudden appearance, and them letting me control the array. There will never be a better opportunity. I rage some unfounded suspicion justifies this massacre. If there was a big fight, we'd be at the front. How could we let key refining disciples die in vain? 14th junior brother raised his sword. You might be a fool, but eldest senior brother and those hypocrites, they're itching to loot our Kion Kun pouches. The sword tip met my bewildered gaze, poised to turn my brain to pulp. Crack. My fractured spine snapped back into place. I struck suddenly, gathering all my strength to spit a jet of black blood. It could rot flesh, bone, and Sino a key refining cultivator hit by it would surely die. The same colorful protective light flashed again. The blood arrow shattered on impact, failing to penetrate. Despair washed over me. But 14th junior brother's face contorted in terror, turning gold minus paper pale. Seeming drained of life essence, he shriveled into a desiccated corpse in the space of a breath. What felt like seasons passed in an instant. The sword clattered to the ground. I gasped for air, the force almost stirring a small whirlwind. A ghastly smile of survival on my face. He must have panicked, activating a defensive treasure far beyond his control. Something that could drain a peak key refining cultivator instantly had to be at least a high minus grade spirit treasure. Gritting my teeth against the pain, I searched his body and found a stone lumpe ragged, corner fragment of a porcelain plate. Rag was more terrifying than whole. A mere fragment could unleash such power. This was likely a Dharma treasure shard. Something of this level, converted to spirit pills or stones, could sustain a low minus ear sect for a decade. Dujian sect, selling everything. Couldn't afford one piece. Otherwise, master, a peak golden cultivator, wouldn't treat lingering shadow like his most precious treasure. I grinned through the pain, almost forgetting I was grievously wounded and near death. After looting the camp's resources, I healed on the spot, waiting for other scouting teams to return. Back then, I thought such tragedy could be avoided with sincerity and openness. It must not be repeated. 2 days later, 5th senior sister returned alone, flying into camp. She looked weary, covered in blood and grime. Strangely, 3rd senior brother's life minus bound spirit weapon hung at her waist. Seeing my state, she gave a miserable smile, seeming to instantly grasp what had happened here. The depths of the human heart are remarkably similar. No wonder the other 2 teens hadn't returned. In the tales passed through the cultivation world, the protagonists are always young talents from upper minus grade sects. Even facing life minus and minus death trials, they remain fraternal and respectful. Tales of fratricide are rare. They always say art imitates life, don't they? I was about to speak when a furious roar erupted from the northern insect cave. A powerful golden aura shot skyward, tearing trees and rocks into the air. Our faces paled dramatically. We dove into the deep mountains, beginning our flight. The golden thread ghost mother had come to avenge its brood. Master brought senior sister and me back to the mountain while we were locked in combat with snarling mantises. The mantises were of ultra minus sized, capable of boring through rock. Master swept his sleeve, reducing them to ash with his golden cordal fire. If he'd wanted to, saving our fellow disciples in their moment of crisis shouldn't have been difficult. I shook my head, banishing the thought. Behind the ancestral hall, 15 new graves appeared. The wooden markers bearing names were slowly rotting in the continuous winter drizzle. Clearly, the one who erected them hadn't cared much. Senior sister, her anger pent up for 2 years, exploded. She slashed her sword towards Master's head. Master, provoked to anger too, struck back with a few palm strikes. The mountaintop vegetation withered, blood sprayed. Afterwards, senior sister retreated into the ancestral hall, claiming she needed secluded cultivation to heal her wounds, sulking and refusing to come out. After 2 years away, the sect was shockingly desolate. Buildings and pavilions had been dismantled haphazardly. The pavilions where fellow disciples lived were long since flattened, replaced by barely fertile medicinal herb plots. Ancestral gold, silver, jade, and treasures were all gone. I intended to pick healing herbs for senior sister, but searching the treasury yielded only one plant. Master said, according to immortal world tax rules, grade D sects must pay tribute to grade C sects, with expedition gains also subject to levies. Because we were in the insect pit, the sect lacked labor for mining spirits tones and cultivating spirit plants. Income couldn't cover expenses, assets had to be sold off. Standing on the bald immortal mountain, Master's face was expressionless, but his eyes were bloodshot. For the next 3 months you need hold only one thing in your heart: fight into the top 100. Restore the sect's glory. I forced myself to repeat Master's teachings until my blood boiled. False course stage was considered profound cultivation among the younger generation. Though nightly haunted by fellow disciples' vengeful ghosts, I remained fiercely excited. Heaven and earth unkind, treating all things as strawed oggs. The path of cultivation stretches long ahead. One immortal success is built on 10,000 skeletons. Master said it was all worth it. But senior sister thought differently. After returning to the sect, senior sister often brought up a whopping. At first I hesitated and argued back that seeing her repeatedly belittle the heavenly Tao and the immortal path, a nameless fire finally rose in my heart. We had a huge fight. She sulked and locked herself in the ancestral hall again. A few days later, a streak of golden light shattered the sect gate plaque and charged up the mountain. At the summit, a bald man with a long beard emerged, followed by 5 extravagantly dressed youths. They looked around the mountaintop, pointing at the dilapidated eaves and tiles, sneering occasionally. My brow furrowed deeply. Old Jin, how did Dujian sect turn into such a dump? A few years gone, and it's decayed this badly. Get out. Master glared furiously, summoning the lingering shadow sword with a gesture. It hung gleaming in the air, radiating intimidating killing intent. The burly man wasn't cowed. He summoned the golden pestle that anchored the earth, dispersing the killing intent. Then, casually picking up a piece of the shattered sect gate plaque, he toyed with it, smiling. Why be angry? Your sect is already a dying husk. Grade D lower like an ant nest clinging to life. Even if someone soared high, they'd just be a slightly stronger ant before the upper sects. He shook his head, pulverizing the fragment to dust. Grade B and C sects sit on taxes from 8 directions. Beasts using 7 or 8 foundation establishment pills are innumerable. Piling up cultivation with void ascension pills is commonplace. What can a pauper like you use to compete? Master's fists clenched tight, his beard and hair flew wildly like burning flames high in the air. My killing intent also surged fiercely, making the burly man glance my way suspiciously. He didn't spot anything, continuing to fan the flames. Immortal sects aren't allowed to annex by force, that's why you cling to life. But after flunking the trials, your sect registration will be forcibly dissolved. Better to submit to me now, sell yourself and your disciples for a decent price. He glanced meaningfully. The youths jostled each other, scrambling forward as if vying for a piece of prime meat. One pushed to the front, glanced dismissively past me, and bowed directly to Master. Respected Uncle Jin, my cultivation has hit a bottleneck. Venturing down the mountain today, I need a whetstone. If I alone defeat all Dujian sect's disciples, please disband your sect. Uncle, I heard your daughter is plump and lovely. Forming marriage ties with our sect could ensure the Jin family's lasting prosperity. Other youths, shielded by the burly man, laughed and teased without restraint. Master's face was expressionless, but I could see his hand trembling violently behind his back, using sparring as a pretext. They really just wanted to gather resources before the trials, adding some chips to their pile. But using me as a whetstone? Aren't you afraid the stone will shatter the blade? If I really lose, I'll shatter my divine soul and offer my innate life essence to you all. Killing intent surged around me, vast as an ocean. I stepped forward, facing all 5 at once, attacking them together. The youths were all foundation establishment level 1, even had peak minus stage power. reaching the stage without venturing down the mountain? Their veins probably flowed with spirit medicine. Pity. Till minus forged cultivation meant a hollow frame, hardened by life minus and minus death experience, I fought cautiously. First exchange probed their cultivation depth. Second exchange find their weaknesses. Third exchange strike like thunder, shattering an armora leg. In less than half an incense stick's time, they lay howling on the ground, a river of blood. The lingering shadow sword danced mockingly above them, its humming like a derisive fiddle tune. The burly man's face darkened, full of disbelief. False score stage? A grade D lower sect has a 20- something false score cultivator. Where did you get that much spirit medicine? But your methods? Excessively vicious. No? None of your damn business. Lingering shadows circled overhead, deliberately letting slip strands of sword ki that hissed against rocks beside the man. He seemed to remember something, calmed down, and glanced at the ancestral hall. I recall you had 17 disciples. Ah, finally had a change of heart and sent them down the pit? Eh? He laughed, unsurprised, a bloodthirsty glint in his teeth. Wouldn't it have been better earlier? Duxian's sect declined like this because past generations of ancestors lacked the heart. 5 generations ago, didn't make the top 1,000. 3 generations ago, stalled at 500. Your generation? Must crack the top 100 just to maintain registration. He shrugged. The rules are plain, make you fight desperately. Those sects who cherished their disciples' lives, wiped out long ago? Before leaving, he threatened darkly. Old Jin, don't blame me for coveting you. Lower sects can't imagine the terror of grade B, grade day. Even heavenly unity. This disciple of mine once paid respects of Ling Yin sect. Just grade B lower. A single immortal note, and he was down. The youth, half-minus healed, wore an expression of shared fear. Hundreds of thousands of grades C and D sects, thousands of grades beyond day. Even cultivating to false core strength. Cracking the top 100 is a pipe dream. Once you fail the trials, lose registration, you'll receive the transfer order from above. Joining our sect then, sold cheap as a whole, won't be your choice. They laughed. But his words stuck with me. After the burly man left, I took the few remaining sect treasures. I leapt from the 10-1,000- Shan cliff, landing at the mountain's base. That month, I swept through all grade C and D sects within 1,000 miles. I forcefully broke through the soul-shaking melodies of Lingyan sect's disciples. Instantly, the name of the dark horse genius from a grade D lower sect shook the region. But just as my ambitions swelled, a disciple from the grade B upper ice heart sect deliberately intercepted and provoked me. Surrounded by jeering grade B sect disciples, she defeated me in one move, leaving me grievously wounded and near death. She looked even younger than me. Clumsy in combat, ignorant of martial arts, her body full of openings. Yet, mid-fight, she spat out a dazzling, resplendent golden cord that crushed everything beneath it. She carved the characters for waste all over my back. Accusing me of defaming an upper-grade sect's reputation, she hung me on their mountain gate. Knowing I aspired to crack the top 100 and restore my sect, Iceheart disciples spat toad lusting after swan meat every time they passed. In their eyes, low status meant inherent worthlessness. Merely openly aspiring to strength disgusted them. Master retrieved me and painstakingly peeled off the skin of my back inch by inch, burning it away with fire. He was frantic. The hope of revitalizing the sect seemed vanishingly slim. He resembled a desperate, vicious wolf. A day later, he inexplicably calmed down. Senior sister, seeing my grievous wounds, kept vigil at my bedside for 3 days and nights. Each time I woke, I found her staring absently into my eyes, her own ringed red. I gently pulled her into my embrace, offering solace. Her slender jade hand brushed my cheek. Her eyes held heartache, reluctance, and threads of despair. I couldn't understand her. Do you truly not wish to elope with me? Live a mundane life far from the dust? Farming for a lifetime? What is the soul called heavenly Tao but a path of slaughter upward? Just like those villains, grasping great power, only to oppress the weak. Is that truly so enthralling? I felt rather displeased. Vast is the key of the heavens, my Tao grows daily more prosperous. The heavenly Tao speaks of fierce courage and relentless progress. Self-strengthening without cease. How dare you slander it so basely? The immortal ascension trials were the immortal world's grandest event, directly determining the status and hierarchy of countless immortal sects beneath the heavenly unity immortal sect. Bringing glory to the ancestors, rising immortal above all others, it hinged on this. Then rest well and heal thoroughly. Perhaps this setback can propel you a step further. After hearing my impassioned declaration, Senior Sister suddenly beamed like a flower. She dropped that sentence and returned to the ancestral hall. For many days after, she didn't reappear. I had a bad premonition. After recovering, I went to check, but Master intercepted me, saying Senior Sister was in seclusion for a breakthrough must not be disturbed. Senior Sister only just reached mid-false core stage. What breakthrough? Seeing me talk back, Master flew into a rage and drove me away. Soon after, while fetching medicine, I noticed spirit plants drastically reduced and spirit pills entirely gone. Thinking it over, I disguised myself and lay hidden near the ancestral hall, observing. After watching most of the day, I saw Master take a bowl of fragrant, spirit-infused soup inside. Not long after, a powerful surge of spiritual energy emanated from within. It seemed like Senior Sister was taking medicine to cultivate. Had I been overly suspicious? Lying in the grass, pondering, my turtle breath technique fully engaged, I suddenly felt a chill overhead. Looking up, I met a pair of icy eyes. Master hovered directly above me in the grass, his head tilted like a cold puppet. His eyes rolled downward, abruptly locking with mine. That gaze, it looked at me like I was already dead. I shuddered violently, leapt up, and struck down with all my might. He flicked his sleeve, making me cough blood as I fled. He said nothing, floating mid-air, staring fixedly as I retreated. I could only be grateful I was disguised. A golden core immortal wasn't so easily fooled, but it bought me some room for lies. That night, enduring the backlash injury, I combed through sect medical texts. Cross-referencing the missing spirit plants, I discovered the sinister prescriptions. 9 deaths 9 lives brew, taken in 9 doses. Each dose reduces lifespan by 1-10th, granting cultivation equivalent to the lifespan lost through bitter training. Utterly demonic. The other also chilled my blood. Immortal seed elixir. Continuous consumption slowly concentrates all the drinker's life force and cultivation into the DNTNC, condensing into a human pellet to aid another in forming their golden core. The drinker loses all power, becoming a cultivation cauldron. Death comes when the pellet fully forms. Whichever it was, Senior Sister was burning her life. What a ruthless father! A vein throbbed on my forehead. Master suddenly pushed the door open, wearing an amiable smile. Xianxia, how's your recovery? I hurriedly closed the medical text, looking wary. He walked towards me unconcerned. Lai Yin'er's cultivation has advanced miraculously fast recently. She's at a critical juncture. Dual cultivation now would double your progress. Come with me to the ancestral hall. My eyes instantly turned crimson. The 9 deaths 9 lives brew had nothing to do with others. Master demanding me cooperation now. Could Senior Sister already be made into the human pellet? Once the human pellet formed, there was no return. Beast! The heart devil oath sworn not long ago felt vivid. I was furious, my meridian swelling to bursting point. I struck out with a palm. The next moment, my head swam all spiritual power. Sealed, I plunged into darkness. A brilliant light woke me abruptly. Opening my eyes, Senior Sister sat facing me. Our palms were pressed together in a cultivation posture, but my spiritual power was rapidly flowing into her Xianxia. I remembered Master's inexplicable apology before we left for the insect pit. I remembered Senior Sister's absolute control when we cultivated together. I remembered her skyrocketing cultivation these past days. I had misunderstood her once before. This time, I wanted a clear answer, senior sister. But struggling to speak, I found myself suppressed by Master. Unable to utter a word, his wrinkled eyelids drooped, his eyes burned with mad obsession. Our Duxian sect's technique is called yin-yang sacrifice. Yin are becoming your Tao companion, cultivating together, planting her yin essence in your divine soul. She holds dominance. I exhausted all our spirit medicine, boosting her cultivation solely to enhance her control when sacrificing you. To crack the top 100, Yinner must fuse with your lifetime of cultivation. Xiaonian, don't blame me. So that apology back then. He'd already set his sights on me? Watching senior sister, across from me diligently absorbing my power, I suddenly wanted to laugh. Laugh at my naivety in swearing the hard devil oath. Laugh at ignoring her repeated pleas to abandon the trials. Laugh at thinking just moments ago I could get a clear explanation of this scheme. You want my life? Let's see if you can take it. For some reason, during our first cultivation session in the insect pit, my yang essence had also entered her divine soul. Seeing I could actually reverse the absorption, Master looked at senior sister in shock. His expression puzzled me, more grief-stricken than fearful. Senior sister's resolute face revealed a ruthless determination I'd never seen before. The suction force instantly doubled. I gritted my teeth, mustering all my strength, willing to burn my lifespan just to hold on a few seconds longer. Fighting for life against my Tao companion, the heart devil oath, also began corralling my divine soul. Fine. Dying from heavenly Tao punishment is more dignified than being drained dry. As back in the insect pit, another surprise intervened. Amidst our desperate tug of war, the suction force opposite me vanished abruptly. No! Master roared, but constrained by the yin-yang sacrifice rules, dared not intervene. As I desperately burned my life to absorb, senior sister had reversed the flow, pouring her entire life into me. The two forces combined, the yin-yang sacrifice neared completion almost instantly. Her earlier ruthlessness. Was it an act? Senior sister's flawless skin rapidly aged. The life essence of a peak false coursed age drained away. Her hair turned entirely white, cascading down, her skull shape visible beneath sagging skin. Father. Xiaonian, I'm tired. In the silence, she coughed up a mouthful of black blood. Master, forgetting his desire to grind me to dust, hurriedly caught her collapsing body. Is the heavenly Tao truly so wonderful? Cultivation, what is it all for? A mocking smile curled her lips as she closed her eyes. Then you go, use my life, walk up there, see it for yourselves. The corners of senior sister's eyes seemed crumpled gray cloth to murky yellow, tears slipped through the cracks. No. No. A massive golden core spun violently within my DNTN. I soared into the sky in a frenzy, summoning heavenly lightning tribulations to shatter the mountain protection array. I sheared 3 feet off the mountain peak. Ancestral remains were incinerated to ash by core fire. The tribulation clouds themselves were dispersed by my body's crash. The hard devil oath stopped operating. It seemed senior sister's last blessing or curse had imbued my life with a new oath. Fight to the pinnacle. See what this cultivation is truly for. See if all this was worth it. By the time I landed, Master stood dazed, his beard and hair entirely white, like the wailing snowflakes on the 15 graves behind the ancestral hall. Soon to be 16. Master, I won't kill you. Immortal Ascension Riles. Are you going? Going. Duxian sect enters the top 100 of the great trials. Immortal voices boomed, resonating from miles around the arena. For the first time in millennia, a lowest minus grade D lower sect breaking into the top 100, resurrected from the dead. The nascent soul elder presiding smiled at me. Mayan Yingqian, you may choose any sect ranked outside the top 50 last season to become their core disciple, or accept the Heavenly Unity sect's decree to become Duxian's soul heir apparent. Regardless of your choice, Duxian sect will rise to grade B lower for the next century, enjoying grade B resources. soaring to the heavens, etching my name in immortal history. The viewing stands erupted, myriad sects boiled over. 1,000 voices lifted me to the clouds. But by now, I didn't care. Senior sister was dead. Beyond her last wish, sect glory, personal splendor, all were bullshit. I choose the third option. What did you say? The entire arena plunged into silence. Using my golden core power, I regenerated my severed arm, looking around. Those lofty sect masters and disciples shed their admiration, revealing naked hostility. I knew their thoughts. By convention, newly promoted sect disciples could withdraw after passing. Upper-grade sects hated disruptive dark horses, ruining the balance and damaging their authority. Timely withdrawal, lying low, had become customary. But senior sister said, "Go up there and see." So I would go up and see. The elder opened his eyes, his white, immaculate brows spreading apart. An imperceptible pressure enveloped me. My vision began to darken. If I fainted now, the challenge would be void. Base, sect promotion. Individual cultivator rewards all hinge on trial victories. Disciples of major sects aren't like you backwoods cultivators of lowly birth. Fists and feet have no eyes. Are you sure you wish to continue? How practiced must he be to lace a single sentence with so many threats? Enduring the pressure for the seconds he spoke, I seized the gap with a cold snort. The esteemed law elder of heavenly unity fears disgracing the upper-grade sects, afraid to let me continue challenging? Just say it outright, no need to bully a junior with your nascent soul pressure. Silence fell again. Everyone knew the truth, but saying it slapped heavenly unity in the face. Their face was too valuable. The presiding elder laughed angrily. Youthful overambition is one thing. The problem is, does your word count? He glanced meaningfully at Master, the threat naked. Too ashamed to bully a junior directly, he made the elder disciple rein in the impoliteness. Also standard immortal world courtesy. Bad luck this time. Master's Tao heart was half-demonized. These months at the trials, he'd repeatedly flouted bans, attacking cultivators he held grudges against, radiating madness. He wouldn't heed such petty threats. The elder snorted. Fine, so stubborn, so reckless. With your savage fighting style, if you damage a grade A sex seedling, you'll bear the consequences. I looked at the livid faces of the upper-grade sect geniuses surrounding the arena and offered a cold smile. To them, the elder's words were an insult. They were simply too weak. Within the top 1,000, I encountered the arrogant fireboy who killed 17th junior brother. He was merely a reserve seed for a grade B lower sect, yet arrogant beyond measure, no longer recognizing me. Until I asked how was the taste of the fires our Iris self-detonation, still fresh? His eyes widened. He didn't fight desperately with his fire lotus. Instead, he whirled towards the presiding elder. Fortunately, I was prepared. Before he could utter surrender, I shattered half his golden core, crippling his cultivation, repaying the debt for a life. He wasn't the only coward. From the top 1,000 onwards, I faced golden core stage sect disciples one after another, each loftier than the last, radiating immortal aura. None lasted 10 moves before being punched through. Seeing me shatter golden cores, those lacking confidence surrendered immediately upon entering. In terms of combat prowess and fighting spirit at the same stage, they were far inferior to backwoods cultivators tempered by life and death trials. Boos rose from the stands. Sect elders glared murderously, their killing intent barely contained. I thought the major sect disciples would remain weak. I was wrong. Within the top 100, danger multiplied in a different way. I knew ants could kill an elephant through numbers. I never knew riches could literally crush a person to death. Resource minus pumped spiritual power, if vast enough, could bridge any gap. If the top 1,000 was a fair contest of comprehensive strength, the top 100 felt like an eccentric showcase. Early and mid-stage golden core were virtually extinct. High minus stage was the baseline. Several peak minus stage participants made the arena a perilous pot. The veins of those cultivators flowed with immortal minus grade medicinal power most cultivators would never taste a wisp of in their lifetime. While they sat on golden cushions, gulping down perfectly brewed immortal elixirs, we risked our lives in mountains and deserts, fighting demon beasts for a single common minus grade spirit herb. While we struggled to settle by spirit springs, nurturing our cultivation with hope, they bullied the weak, murdering and looting for a chance at a fresh treasure. They could even swagger through death zones on tours, shielded by artifacts or elders. What did people like us have? Pills? Spirit treasures? Or renowned teachers? I only had one thing: a life willing to give its all. All I could do was repay hand for hand, eye for eye, blood for blood, life for life. Their fear of death was my greatest advantage. I wanted to walk up step by step, to the very top, trampling all who blocked my path, looking down on all beings, accepting their own fear, their worship. After all, I had lost everything. But I saw him, the once masked noble youth, waiting for me at the finish line from the very start. Before the top 10 matches, there was the customary commentary. Projections of the Heavenly Unity sect leader and elders arrived from 10,000 miles away. Colossal illusions surrounding the arena. The first 9 fairies and immortals were all prodigiously talented, righteous and inspiring. Proof the land never lacks new geniuses. When it came to me, the tune changed. You are indeed invincible within your stage, but too murderous, harming the harmony of heaven. You excel in combat arts, neglecting that the great Tao faces heaven. You should meditate more, spend less spirit pills and herbs on lethal techniques. You are too tense, insufficiently relaxed. Your displayed ambition is too strong, sorely lacking immortal grace. Though strong in combat, your grade D lower origin means your cultivation foundation is shaky, likely inept at comprehending the heavenly Tao. Under their barrage, the other 9 nodded in agreement, offering satisfied smiles. I remained expressionless, thanking each in turn. Your cultivation? How did you get it? First top 10 match, I fiercely assaulted the giant from 10,000 treasures sect. Exhausted, he pulled out a heaven mending pill worth myriad treasures, instantly restoring his golden core to peak state. He lost only after I blood sacrificed lingering shadow. Immortal grace? How can you afford grace? Second match. The U sect's immortal immediately activated a defensive treasure, Tu or Tilm, while manipulating venomous spirit needles to pierce my divine soul. Complacently believing himself invincible, his expression remained serene. I feigned killing blows several times, sold many openings, tricking him into activating his treasure repeatedly until his spiritual power was drained. Then one. He screamed injustice, reporting me to the presiding elder. My killing intent was too strong, harming heaven's harmony, deviating from the trial's original intent. I should be disqualified, expelled, imprisoned to cultivate my nature and reflect such fine immortal grace. As for harming heaven's harmony, what choice did I have? Third round was a bye. I sat right outside the arena, chewing accumulated demon beast cores to replenish spiritual power. The bloody, fiendish aura surged skyward. Nearby grade D sect disciples hurriedly meditated, absorbing the leaking spiritual energy. Grade A and B disciples nearly vomited, covering their noses as they fled. Final round against Heavenly Unity's Tao seedling. A great cultivator beyond peak golden core, at the nascent soul dissolution stage. Half-formed nascent soul could slightly mobilize celestial immortal you on spiritual power never depleted. You stand no chance in this bout. He wasn't masked this time, standing on auspicious clouds, even waving a folding fan, the picture of an otherworldly transcendent. I once dreamed of becoming like this. Now it disgusted me. Your cultivation is too weak. Reaching this point through desperate scheming, unburning your life essence is your limit. You cannot even penetrate my defensive treasures. His robes whiter than snow, brows like swords, eyes like stars. The fairies on the viewing stand swooned. spending too much time on trivial combat skills. If you were at least peak golden core, you'd have a sliver of a chance. I spat a mouthful of dirty blood, grinning. We have to mine spirit's tones, grow spirit plants. Refine spirit pills for the upper sects. Where did the time go? You bought it. That brute's single heaven minus mending pill could fill Du Xian's treasury 3 times over. We have to cultivate with impure demon cores. No match for you swallowing pills like beans. He paused, expression darkening. Trying to disturb my Tao heart with nonsense? Such a sinister trick. They are hothouse flowers raised on medicines. You're a fake blind man who poked out his own eyes. I retorted, born at the finish line others strive for, who'd be foolish enough to fight on the ladder. Naturally, they wouldn't understand how many fingernails breaking a single spirit's tone vein costs. No point saying more. As Heavenly Unity's direct disciple, he had at least 1 offensive and 1 defensive Dharma treasure. If I find Tedden dodged, he'd only drag me to exhaustion. To strike decisively, I needed to withstand his offensive treasure first, then break the defense. I only had 1 thing capable of blocking a Dharma treasure attack. Hence, only 1 chance. Lightning sparked at my feet. I vanished. Spitting out the porcelain shard, its radiant curtain met a beam of annihilating thunder, both dissolving. Daring to refine heavenly thunder into a treasure, without a soul transformation elder guarding him? Not even ghosts would believe it. Passing the first hurdle, lingering shadow pressed against the violet defensive light barrier around him. I'm sorry, senior sister, I whispered. Shatter. Lingering shadow exploded. Its final sword light tore through his protection in an instant. Blood ki surged wildly within me, seizing the chance. I punched his flank. The recoil blasted both my arms into blood mist. A biting cold wind held past as I flew backwards to the arena's edge. Struggling to sit up, I looked. A finger touched my brow. Besides the young heaven purple armor, I also have a thorn-severing black belt. It reflects physical damage from golden core cultivators. His expression was indifferent. Mine was a brilliant smile. My gaze passed his finger, his face, to the majestic mountains behind him. Clouds and mist-drifted immortal spirit energy rained down richly. Truly breathtaking. This long river that stretches for 1,000 miles and these mountains that span 10,000 miles will all belong to him in the future. A few Dharma treasures, a dozen Du Xian sects. What were they? My golden core was disintegrated. Senior sister was dead. I had failed here, unable to ride her blessing to the very end. The hard devil-oath had begun its effect. Gasping through tearing internal organs, I spoke. Without all this, you're far inferior to me. He replied calmly, I was born into this. All the world's resources gathered upon me. Should I discard it? Would that be fair to me? I was born well, born high, born to nobility. Is that my sin? My divine soul violently convulsed, threatening to burst from my crown point, dispersing my soul. I refused to accept it. You are indeed guilty. Born to nobility, living off the world, sucking the marrow from its bones. Whether willing or not, is that not the original sin? Behind vermilion gates, meat and wine rot on the road, lie bones of the frozen dead. You sit atop the world. Ignorant of common cultivators' toil, dismissing it as nonsense. Should you not atone? He shook his head and turned to leave, likely finding me unreasonable. He stopped after the steps, in the arena center. He bent down, pinched something between his fingers. Powder from my shattered treasure shot a curious look on his face. This treasure belonged to a bodyguard who died when I visited the 10,000 insect pit ages ago. How did you acquire it? Have I seen you somewhere before? My golden core was dust, my senses almost gone. His words felt like the final straw. I laughed bleakly. My divine soul dissipated like mist into heaven and earth. I saw homeless rogue cultivators executed for failing to pay taxes. I saw perilous lands, young cultivators slaughtering each other over spirit treasures. The diligent merchant, extorted by upper sects on the road. The healer alchemist, his legs broken by a patient's noble enemy. Those tending spirit fields day and night, never allocated a single Foundation establishment pill. The one who drew his sword to appeal, framed by collusion, thrown into prison. In an instant, I looked from snowy plains to deserts, immortal peaks to islands. I saw the spirit turbs common cultivators fought to the death for, rotting in piles and some treasury even discarded into fields as fertilizer. Saw a single grain in spring, reap 10,000 come fall. No field lies idle under the four seas, yet farmers still starve to death. The heavenly Tao for what purpose? Merely the private schemes of the powerful. Why is it so? So this is why. A vast Tao rhythm suddenly surged, scattering immortal mist for miles. Sunlight fell, illuminating a clear, bright world. Hey, I raised a trembling finger, my shredded face pulling into a grimace. Your white robe, it's looking a bit yellow. I had comprehended the Tao. They wanted to kill me, because I hadn't comprehended the heavenly Tao. The human Tao? After 1,000 years, another cultivator comprehends the human Tao. What human Tao? It's demonic Tao. Execute him. High on the mountain, the projection of the heavenly unity sect leader raised a hand, silencing the arena. He pointed at me from afar. This youth has entered the heretical path, showing nascent signs of Tao comprehension. Execute him. A host of white-robed cultivators descended with swords. Clanging metal filled the air, sword kick up my fragile skin. Master leapt onto the platform, shielding me. May I ask, esteemed immortal, what the human Tao is? My disciple committed no crime. Why execute him? The projection remained impassive a millennium ago. A cultivator comprehended the human Tao, declaring the heavenly Tao false. Spiritual roots an illusion that anyone could become immortal. He then rebelled against the immortal world, becoming our greatest enemy. Who was he? The demon realms. Demon Lord. I suddenly threw my head back and laughed wildly. My Tao is not alone. I looked at that lofty projection and spat. Upper-grade sects monopolize everything. But we mine the spirit's tones, gather the immortal herbs. Spiritual roots, has anyone ever truly seen them? Major sects have plenty of waste spiritual roots, reaching great heights, all thanks to seas of pills, or powerful elders, empowerment. We cultivate, slay demons, exterminate devils, mine stones, grow herbs, refine pills, set arrays bent solely on forging golden cores, birthing nascent souls. Who do we really do it for? What if we stopped, wandered carefree, lay content in its mountains and rivers? What then? Heavenly punishment? The projection closed its eyes. Lack of dedication to cultivation, thoughts centering demonhood. My heavenly unity sect naturally metes out heaven's punishment in its stead. Shameless. I spat a bloody glob. What is the heavenly Tao? Where does it exist? Is it truly the Tao of the formless heavens? Or is it the Tao of your heavenly unity sect? Form the sword array. Exterminate the demon. Frowning, the projection roared a wrathful command. Around the peaks, colossal 100- Shang projections pressed downward. Everyone knelt, trembling. The law enforcer's sword key soared, encircling the peak. Countless major sects cheered. Minor sects hid far away, though some secretly wept, touched by some hidden sorrow. I chuckled grimly. The demon lord surely didn't comprehend his Tao under their noses. Otherwise, they wouldn't know that while temporarily enveloped by human Tao rhythm, I am all under heaven. I am the masses. In an instant, I had fled tens of thousands of miles with my ruined body. I fell into a river, rescued by a village of mortals who farmed and wove cloth. Years later, seizing the chaos of the immortal-demon war, I secretly returned to Duxian sect. The graves behind the ancestral hall had long been weathered flat by the elements. The lingering shadow fragment buried with senior sister's bones was rusted beyond recognition. A white-haired old man, unrecognizable, half-mad near death, took out the yin-yang sacrifice manual. He begged me to fight into the top 100 of the immortal ascension trials, restore the sect's glory. I waved my hand casually. Clouds and mist scattered a cloudless sky stretching for miles. Sunlight fell on his white hair and beard, igniting him and the manual together. They dissolved into the celestial light, lingering amidst these mountains and forests. Master, senior sister, wait for me here in the mountains. Once this war ends, this mountain will be mine. I'll bring mortals. Found a small sect. Take 17 or 18 disciples. We'll turn that 10,000 insect pit underneath into a resort, catching a few golden thread ghost mothers for fun each year. An earthly sword hum sounded from the horizon. Immortal auras drifted. A vast army approached. Demon! You dare return. Surrender now. Raised on the immortal world's bounty. Without it, where would you forge your golden core? Birth your nascent soul? Now you lead demons into our realm? Truly a colossal and great. Fancy that it was the bejeweled heavenly unity direct descendant, escorted by a full for elders. Here for a military field trip, was he? I looked up and sighed softly. Where my gaze passed, the ancestral hall and graves looked as good as new. Ranting about the immortal world your heavenly unity sect never understood. The immortal world belongs to all the world's cultivators, not just your sect. I casually picked up the rusted lingering shadow fragment, adding bamboo from the mountain. Under the blaze of my Tao fire, it quickly forged into a treasure. I named it Lingering Shade. I pointed at the desolate mountain graves. Ruined mountains like this, graves with origins like these. They are countless in the immortal world. Guess what people like to use as offerings? I gently stroked the trembling bamboo branch, then smiled towards the heavenly army, hanging them across the gates of the immortal world sects. Senior sister surely wouldn't mind, would she?